Hey all, it's your girl Aaron, and I wanted to do a video talking about cryptocurrencies because there's been a lot of talk recently about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which is kind of using similar technology. So yeah, I wanted to go over it, give you my thoughts and stuff. So to begin with, I don't think cryptocurrency is a great idea. I don't think it really solves a problem. The problems that it claims to solve can be solved other ways better, in my opinion. So I'm not here to tell you to get into crypto, kind of the opposite, but I did want to just go over it. So lately there's been a lot of talk about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You've had people like Jack Dorsey, like the founder of Twitter or whatever, like selling his first ever tweets as an NFT. There's been like Logan Paul, other YouTubers selling digital art as NFTs. H3H3 is selling Vape Niche video as an NFT, and so there's a lot of hype around it right now. But it's not really anything new. Like people have been buying and selling art for a very long time, and even sometimes in the case that when you resell art, the original artist gets some commission. That's all possible without blockchain technology. Um, you know, the only thing that blockchain technology does is it makes it that the people who are, um, maintaining the ledger can be decentralized. It can be, anyone, not specifically some organization or other, or like your title deeds would not be held by like the government, but in the distributed ledger, for example. And so a lot of people claim that that's a good thing, but I'm not so convinced. Like, uh, governments, yes, aren't great. I want us to have a society where we are self-governing and we don't have a centralized government, but I also want that to happen simultaneously with us moving away from capitalism. And I think while we still have capitalism, the government plays an important role in regulating it and that kind of stuff. And I don't want to see us move to a world that has still got capitalism but doesn't have the government, because I think that makes things worse. Then you're taking away, in essence, the ability to have a watchdog. And we should be trying to get our governments to be more democratic and more responsive to the will of the people, rather than trying to circumvent it but maintain a hierarchical, capitalist, and capital based society. So, yeah, I think that selling point isn't really attractive. To say that, oh well, it's distributed, like, so what? Like, unless you're trying to move to a world where you have capitalism but no government, then that isn't really helping at all. It's actually making it harder for the government to regulate, for example, or tax or whatever, which weakens the government relative to capitalists, relative to rich people. And a society where rich people have the biggest voice and the biggest say, well, that's actually how governments used to work before. Governments used to be only like white male landowners got to vote and decide and stuff, and things weren't great. There were a lot of problems in society, and I think we'll go back to having a lot of those same problems and even new and worse ones if we go back to letting the people who are the richest have the most say and the loudest voice. And that's what happens when you have capitalism without government. Rather, we should continue the fight to get government to be more responsive and, you know, representative of the people as well, at least until we can get to a point where we move away from both the government and capitalism at the same time. Um, and so I think that the NFT hype is a bit of a bubble. I'm sure there will be some NFTs that maintain their value long term, but I think most of them will just end up being worthless. Um, and you know, because it's like, would you have bought that piece of art if it wasn't an NFT? Because if the answer is no, if it being an NFT is like the selling point, then there's not really anything being freaking fly. Okay. So then we'll get on to regular crypto. So that was talking about NFTs, which is like the name of it, non-fungible token, is basically to distinguish it from what is a fungible token. So a fungible token is something like a Bitcoin, where um, one Bitcoin always has the same value as another Bitcoin. And that's not the case for NFTs, because if it's like, the Vape Nash video NFT versus the Jack Dorsey tweet NFT, those don't have equal value. You can't just swap one for another and it makes no difference. So the fungibility refers to the coins being basically replacements of each other, like they can be interchanged, and it's how it is. Now you might buy a non-fungible token with fungible tokens, with Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, but the token you get saying you own the thing can't just be swapped for other NFTs willy-nilly. um, so then, when it comes to crypto, there is some huge problems. Now, people have spoken out recently, and I think it's been very positive and encouraging to see people talking about it, but people have started raising concerns over the energy consumption. I think that's kind of half the problem. The other half of the problem there is the fact that all of this computer hardware that the electricity is being used on crypto instead of something actually meaningful. So the problem with mining crypto is that you're not adding any value, real world value. You know, if you get a coin, it's because you've like cracked a random hash, and so it's like a password to an account that doesn't exist. Like, it's less valuable than cracking someone's password, because there's not even any access you gain. It's like, oh, here's a coin, and then you just move on. There's nothing left behind. All of that mining was just to get the coin, and that's it. That there's nothing else added. And for me, that's a recipe for a crash. So I think the current implementations of cryptocurrencies, well, almost all of them will end up going to zero value. Right now, people are projecting that the prices go higher and higher and higher, and maybe they will. People are saying maybe crypto will become like used instead of cash or fiat currency or whatever, like, and maybe it will. But that doesn't change the fact that it's kind of a pyramid scheme and it's kind of a scam. And you'll get to a point with crypto where it'll become too expensive to mine. The rewards you get from mining will not be worth the electricity put in. Or if we improve our technology, whatever, and get more efficient, and so it still continues to be cost worthy to mine, you are still going to run out of coins, and then mining will reward you with nothing at all. And so people have said, okay, well, when we get to that point, then we'll just charge people a fee per transaction, and then that fee will cover the cost of continuing to maintain the ledger. But so basically that's the idea of an end game. But if you think about it, that's not really how things will happen. Like, there will be other cryptos, or even using regular money, that doesn't inherently require you to spend tons and tons of time of computing power and electricity just to get, a coin, and then that's it. There's nothing else of value there. So I think that if people are going to end up using crypto, that the cryptocurrency itself, the process of mining the coins, needs to be tied to something that has value outside of the crypto and the coin itself. So one of the things I thought about is, people have, like, in the scientific realm, there's a lot of computing that's done. Like, many supercomputers were built just to aid in scientific research. Like, universities, some of them have their own supercomputers. There's also some scientific research where this cat is potentially going to be making noise in this video on the other side of this window, but hopefully not. But you already have things where it's like SETI, like search for extraterrestrial intelligence or whatever, where people would like have a screensaver that would, if you're connected to the internet and your screensaver went on, so e.g. you weren't using your own computer, then your computer's computing power could be lent to that distributed computing efforts to analyze all that data, and you know, even if we don't find any signals, at least we're ruling out that there are or not. So there is some gain of knowledge there. The same can be said for things like protein folding, or uh, or the telescopes where it's a virtual telescope. So like they take pictures from all over the world and then they combine them together using software and computing to increase the size of the whole telescope to be much bigger. So like they've used that to analyze the in infrared and stuff, the black hole at the center of the universe, and come up with a picture. Well, they have a picture of Sagittarius. Wait, is that? No, I don't know. There was two black holes they were looking at. One of them they have a picture. One I think they're still creating the picture, but and one of the telescopes is in Antarctica, and they literally have to take physical hard drives filled with data and fly it to like their processing like stations or whatever, because it's way faster to do that than to try and send that same data over the internet or whatever. So we're talking about lots and lots and lots of data, and so that kind of computing needs to happen anyway for the scientific discovery and stuff. And after you've done that kind of computing, then you don't have to go do it again, and it's not just lost forever. There's real tangible results that people can build off of, and we can improve our understanding of the universe, the world, technology, etc. So I think if crypto is going to survive and not just be this bubble that bursts and crashes, the coins need to be rewarded for something like that, something like uh, computing a protein fold, or merging like data from across the world, or like whatever simulation are currently being run on supercomputers or distributed computing. If that becomes where what's rewarded, then even if the coin goes to zero, it's fine, because you still got something out of all that computing. The electricity and the computing power didn't go to waste. And without that, you are competing. So the people who are mining coins just for the sake of mining coins are using electricity and computing hardware that could be going to that other, the scientific research. So there's even like shortages on gaming GPUs, and gamers are now suffering because of crypto, because crypto miners want to use the graphics card to mine coins, and so it's taking away from other things that are valuable for like basically what I think is a pyramid scheme. Now, if you incentivize doing the scientific research via rewarding coins for that computing, then even if like gamers get hurt by it, at least we gain something else. We gain an improvement in the knowledge and science of the world, and so it's not like this huge like drain on our resources as a society. So yeah, I definitely think that the current examples of Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is, like it's just a scam in a way. It's like people are betting on the value going up, so they're buying in now because they think the value is going to go up. And the problem with that is then now, as a person investing in a crypto, you've basically been recruited to the cause of that coin or crypto or whatever going up in value, because if it goes down in value, you lose your money. So you end up having to advocate for crypto and trying to get other people on board and trying to sell it as this valuable thing, because if you don't, what if it ends up not being valued by society and going to zero? And I think that will happen inevitably. Enough critical thinking will take place that they realize it's a scam, and then people are going to start bailing. And the rich people and the ones who are buying millions or billions of dollars of crypto, of whatever, they'll just sell when it starts hitting that peak and take their profits. And then whoever can't sell fast enough will be left with losses. And that's how bubbles bursting happens. And that is going to happen with the current iterations of crypto. There's no way around it. If it's not from critical thinking, it'll be from the coins no longer being rewarded for maintaining the network. So at some point, it'll end up crashing. It's inevitable. But if there's some real tangible value in maintaining the ledger and mining, then it may not crash. It may not go to zero, because even if you're not using the coins, it's still worthwhile to do that computing. And that kind of guarantees that the coin won't go to zero, because you'll still have incentive to mine it. And if you're going to be doing that computing anyway, you might as well get a coin for it. So those coins are tied to actual value and in terms of knowledge, basically. And it's not the knowledge of a random hash and knowing the specific like letters and numbers that unlock that hash, which doesn't add any value to anyone. Nobody really cares. Nobody's life is getting better because you found the right string of characters. Like all that gets rewarded for that is a coin, and then that coin can end up going to zero because it was kind of pointless to do it from the beginning anyway. And at some point, people will realize the pointlessness of it. And so it's kind of like people who know about tech and stuff, who are comfortable with the ideas of it, are kind of early adopters into it. They get invested, they become like evangelists for crypto because they want the price to go up so they make more money, etc. They want it to be something like a store of value, like gold or whatever, because that's how they increase their net worth or whatever. And yet it's not based on any real tangible value. It's not enough just for people to believe that the thing is valuable. Current currencies are backed by governments and stuff. And so, yes, money only has value because we believe it does, but also because governments run and maintain a sense of its value and try to avoid super inflation or super deflation or whatever. And so you might think, well, crypto is immune from super inflation or super deflation, but is it really? You know, haven't we already seen super inflation? And isn't super deflation just an inevitable end for all cryptos that don't add any real value? So, yeah, that kind of currency crypto doesn't exist, one that ties it to obtaining scientific knowledge, but I think it probably should be made if we are going to go down the crypto road, because without that kind of real tangible value, like if you could say, like, by computing this amount, like if you compute X amount of computing and electricity and whatever, it will create a like, you know, piece of like iron or whatever, then at least you have that piece of iron if the value of the coin goes to zero. And that in turn basically ensures that it doesn't go to zero. And we don't have that with current cryptos. And yes, crypto might speed up things like transactions and transfers and stuff, and but the thing is, that is an inefficiency that can be solved without blockchain. And instead of those people spending all their time evangelizing for crypto, they could be trying to evangelize for the current financial systems to get improved and to become more efficient, and to, you know, you can have a distributed ledger without blockchain. It's easy. You just need to have trusted sources, which we already do. We already trust exchanges and stuff, you know, as a society. There's already these trusted parties that can verify transactions or whatever. They just need to be improved to do it quicker. And yes, just because blockchain might do it quicker doesn't mean that that's the solution, because by doing it, you've now tied yourself to vaporware, like it's like they're vapor coins. And you know, because there's no government backing of these coins or whatever, there's no integration, and it's kind of removed from the government. You've removed the safety nets, you've removed the thing that could stop it from super deflating and getting to zero, or super inflating. So it's like, you know, the only people that can kind of in good faith keep advocating for crypto are the free market advocates, because for them, they do want capitalism without the government, and so for them, crypto is a solution because it gives them that. But for society, that's a huge problem. That's like, these ideas were normally far right ideas, like to have a totally free market. Like a lot of leftists call that kind of thinking neo-feudalism for a reason, because it will create a feudalism based on competition and monopolies. So the old school feudalism was based on like who has the biggest army, whatever. But neo-feudalism, the new type of feudalism that a lot of people are advocating for, will simply be feudalism where corporations and individuals with a whole lot of capital are de facto feudal lords in society through the relative amounts of power that they wield, and moving to a cryptocurrency that's totally like independent of the government and whatever is basically their dream. It's how they can try to achieve a decentralized currency. And if you are considering yourself a leftist and you are getting onto the crypto chain, just keep in mind that you are trying to assist and fulfill the dreams and hopes of far-right free market thinkers. And I think it's very important for people to understand and realize that there's no such thing as a free market. If the market is free from the government, it just means capitalists and corporations now have that power that the government used to have, and that doesn't make us any more free. It makes them free from government regulation and tax, but it doesn't make the average worker or citizen more free. It makes them less free, because now they don't even have the ability to influence the government or try to get a more representative government for themselves. They don't even have that option anymore. They've lost that avenue, and it's almost like we've reverted to a time where only, rich white males are able to make decisions and vote and stuff. Like, that's where crypto is taking us. Now, if it was tied to scientific research, then you're still kind of heading down that road a little bit. But, I mean, hopefully we don't head down that road, but it looks like we're going to. And if we're going to, well, I don't know, maybe people shouldn't. Maybe they should just do the pyramid scheme. It can crash and we can abandon crypto altogether. But the thing is, like, if we're doing the computing for scientific research anyway, and people want to get into crypto anyway, maybe you can embed some kind of democratic voting system where it's not just, where, you could have potential for things like a transaction tax to go to a government or something. Like, put that into your crypto so that it's tied still to some mechanisms for popular influence. It's not up to just whoever has the most capital, whoever has the most coins has the most say in the network. Like, that is pretty bad. So yeah, basically I don't think crypto is a good idea, but something like scientific research will at least stop it from being a total scam. It'll still be a problem, and we still need to fight against neo-feudalism, but it's not going to result in everybody losing all their money unless they manage to spot the peak and sell at the top. In markets, you're supposed to buy at the bottom and sell at the top. Well, Bitcoin and other coins are going up. They're going to get to the top, the bubble's going to burst, and you're going to have to sell before the value gets to zero and hope there's still buyers while it's crashing. So the people who like have the most money into it, as soon as they sell, like, because they have so many coins, when they decide that it's at the peak, it will be at the peak, because when they sell, they'll start creating the burst of the bubble. And so you basically at the whims of how long are they going to maintain investment in the network, considering that it's going to get more and more expensive to maintain and eventually will be at a loss to maintain, and that there will be other technologies that they could just move their money to, and so it doesn't hurt them to do so. So they'll abandon it as soon as they realize that they're getting really close to that crash. They don't want to be trying to sell after the crash, and then that will cause the crash. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that was interesting, and I will see you all around. Bye. But yeah, and you can check out my gaming channel. I talk about a whole bunch of these ideas and stuff while I'm playing Minecraft as well. So I'll put a link to that in the description. Okay, bye.